It's Philly's Power 99. I'm Roxy Romeo with someone you need to get very familiar with. Hey. Darius Coleman.
What's up, Roxy? Hey, Philly. What's up, y'all?
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
So you have a lot going on right now, but before we get to that, all right, let's start from the beginning. So you are a Philly boy.
I'm a Philly boy through and through. 215 all day. I'm from Uptown. I grew up at 69th and Ogans, so I'm Philly as Philly as they get.
All right, so you are a singer, a songwriter.
Yes.
You're an artist, right?
I'm an artist, yes.
So how did you find this love of music?
I think that kind of growing up around it, I grew up in church. My dad is a pastor, so
it's always that. It is always that. Okay, go ahead.
It's like that, like probably like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I grew up around it. And at that time, I didn't really know that music was what I wanted to do, like professionally. I just kind of grew up around music, and the thing of it was cool, because I sang in church, and it was just like a thing. But it wasn't the thing that I was in love with at the time. I thought I wanted to be a dancer for a little bit, so like I started dancing around like 8, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna be somebody background dancer. I'm in there. And then I went to Kappa, the Performing Arts High School here in Philadelphia, and I had a realization then that like I wasn't passionate about dance. Like I went there as a dance major, and that's when I realized like, yo, these kids are passionate about this. Like I don't feel the way they feel about this, and so it exposed me to the idea that maybe there was something else that I was passionate about, and I connected with that as music. And I always knew since I was a kid that arts and entertainment was it for me. Like I've always been drawn to that and always have seen myself in that regard, but I didn't know what avenue. And so, I feel like God placed a very special young lady in my path by the name of Jasmine Sullivan, who you guys might be familiar with.
Yeah, people might be familiar with her.
Might have heard of her a time or two. And so we were in high school at the same time. We didn't graduate together, but we were in high school at the same time. And she was kind of actually the catalyst for me becoming a singer. I had a solo when I started minoring in the vocal music department. I had a solo in the winter concert, and in rehearsal, her and her friends came up and they were like, so you the boy that the music teacher, Miss Morrow, she been talking about? And I was like what? And then she was just like, yeah, she was telling us that there's this freshman boy who has this amazing voice and da-da-da-da-da. And I was just like, me? Like, that's crazy. So cut to maybe a month or two later, she was like, I wrote this song and I think it would be dope if you sang it. And I was just like, Jasmine.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. Now, let me put this in perspective for y'all. Jasmine was as amazing then as she is now. So anything that she said to me was just like, if you say do it, I'm doing it. Because like the first time I heard her sing, it took me 2 weeks to pick my jaw up off the ground. I was just like, wow, what a voice. Anyway, so we're in the piano room. She's playing this song, and she's singing a little bit, and I sing back to her. We're going back and forth. And in the middle of it, she stopped and she was like, do you know you can sing? And I was like, what do you mean? And she was just like, do you realize that your voice is special? That you have like one of those voices? And it was in that moment that I think that it clicked for me that music was the thing I never really recognized as a passion, but that was the impetus for me that kind of started that fire. It sparked the fire then, and it's been burning ever since.
So how old were you then?
I was high school. I was like a sophomore in high school.
So
somewhere
like
around
15, 14, 15.
Yeah, somewhere.
And so that was the point that you really started taking music seriously.
Yeah.
Okay. So did dance just go out the window, or did you still continue to do that?
I stayed a dance major throughout the time that I was in high school. But then I was also minoring in vocal music. So I was kind of doing both things at the same time. But when I graduated, I knew that I didn't want to dance like professionally the way I thought I wanted to, and I knew I wanted to pursue a career in music at that point.
Got it.
Yeah.
So after you graduated high school, then what?
After I graduated high school, then I kind of was like, all right, I'm gonna embark on this career in music and figure it out. And from that point until now, I've kind of figured it out. I started songwriting as a necessity, and I didn't realize that like songwriting was a thing, let alone a profession. I had no idea. But I knew I needed music. And the only way I was going to get that is if I wrote the songs. So I started writing songs purely out of necessity. And then the necessity grew to a like, and then the like grew to a love, and then the love grew to a passion. And, I always kind of had a way with words. I loved English when I was in school. It was my favorite subject, but I never thought I could get paid for words. And so when I realized that like the publishing side of music is where a lot of the money is made, I was just like, I probably should look into this a little further. You know what I'm saying? So I started kind of like really hounding, not hounding. I started honing my skill sets as a songwriter. I just talk about the words, and now I got to get my words together. But I started honing my skill sets as a songwriter as I was developing my voice and kind of like studying with people and doing everything I had to do to get myself ready to be an artist. And that was how the journey started. And I never, thought that it would have led me to this moment where, now I'm about to celebrate an episode of NBC's newest show called Songland, and what a blessing to be a part of it.
So you've been in LA for a year. So what are a couple highlights from Philly before you actually moved?
So from Philly, I had performed like here. Before I moved to LA, I was blessed to write for Empire, and I was working with Timbaland, and being a part of that show was really transformative for me. That all happened before I left to go to LA. But while I was here, I just felt like I had kind of plateaued a bit. Like I felt like I had reached a point where I was like, I don't feel like I'm growing anymore. And I feel like there's something necessary for me to stretch to the next place. Also for me as a songwriter, pop is primarily what I write. And so there weren't as many opportunities here for pop music songwriting as I would like it to be. And so for that reason, I felt like I needed to be in the environment that was going to support the vision that I had for myself artistically, but then also for me professionally. And there were a lot of opportunities that I was seeing friends of mine avail themselves of in LA. And I was just like, man, I wasn't necessarily looking to move to LA, but I had been praying about what was next for me, and God was definitely answering, and the answers kept coming back, LA. So I was just like, all right, whenever you ready, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's get it. And then sometime later, I ended up moving to LA, and a year later, I literally brought in my 1 year anniversary living in LA on stage at Coachella with Kanye West. And
that is crazy.
What a difference a year makes, Like, I had no idea that when Sunday service started, that it was going to become what it's become. We've been doing it for 6 months now.
Oh, so you've been a part of this for a while.
I'm a day one.
Okay.
I'm a day one. Yeah. And so when we started it, it was just like nobody knew what it was.
Yeah.
I don't even know if Kanye knew what it was when it started.
How did you get connected with Kanye?
Through some people I know in LA.
Okay.
And when they called with the opportunity, I was like, sure. Like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Like I said, at that point, nobody really knew what it was. It was all being figured out, but it was like, okay, well, this is kind of what we know, and let's make it happen. And so, so 6 months later, here we are. And like I said, literally, I brought in my 1 year anniversary at Coachella with him, on the hill. And what a blessing it's been to be a part of it. In addition to, I did John Legend for the iHeart Awards. I did Camila for the Grammys. I'm on Songland. Like, all of these things were happening. I'm like, and I've only been living here for a year, and I feel like when you're walking kind of in your purpose, things find a way of working themselves out without you having to actively try so hard. You put the work in, don't get me wrong. And I'm from Philly, like I said, so we get hustle here. And I think that being in LA, that's one of the biggest assets is the hustle part of it, because you bring our work ethic to a coast that is a little bit more relaxed. So you kind of shine more because it seems like you're going above and beyond, but really we were just bred differently. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we go at Philly pace. East Coasters have a different kind of hustle, So yeah, it's a blessing.
So number one, I love the fact that you have not lost your faith.
Not at all. It's the thing that's kept me sane in LA.
you everything you say, you can completely feel it. So I love that. Number two, we were talking off mic about how much a year makes and like what a great move it is for you to be in LA. I mean, and I've spoken to a lot of other artists that are from Philly that a lot of them have had to move because unfortunately the opportunities are not as vast in Philly. So if you want to grow, you have to leave. So, you said that you were waiting for God to give you that sign, but was it a scary, decision to do that?
To be honest with you, it wasn't.
No.
And I still don't know how I felt so sure about it all I knew was when I tell you the signs were so blatant, like I couldn't have ignored it if I wanted to. It was that obvious. So I was just like, if I'm being led here and I know I'm being led here, you got me. Like I don't have anything to be fearful of because I know I'm being sent somewhere, as opposed to like me just deciding one day, like, you know what, I think I'm gonna just move to LA. It wasn't like that for me. And when I got to LA, it felt like LA was waiting for me to get there. Now, granted, that's not to say that there weren't challenges. You know what I'm saying? Like, there were definitely some challenges, but throughout all of it, I've been taken care of, you know? And so that part of it has been the best blessing ever, is that the provision has always been made for me regardless.
Yeah.
Like whether I was sleeping on a couch or in an Airbnb or whatever have you, like, you know, I spent a substantial number of months couch surfing. I was couch surfing while I was filming Songland. You know what I'm saying? But at the same token, it's just like, there's nothing that
makes
stops
your story even better.
Yeah. It's quite literal. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no excuses. And for me, it's funny because I was talking to my brother and he's also my business partner. We have a company called North 13th where we do both like marketing and media, and then we also do music on the other side of the company. And we're business partners, but we're brothers first, right? And so we were talking and he was just like, bro, he was like, I just want to say something to you. Like, he was like, I'm just proud of you that these things are happening in your life and like God is creating these opportunities for you and you're sleeping on a couch and you still have joy in your heart. Like, you're not complaining about your situation. And I never even thought about it in that way. I'm just like, I got a place to sleep. There's a roof over my head. It's warm in here. I got a blanket and some pillows. And I get a chance to wake up every day and chase my dream. And I'm getting closer and closer and closer to realizing my dream. Never even thinking about the fact that I'm sleeping on the couch. In my mind, that's my bed. You know what I'm saying? But like, it just goes to say, I say that to say rather, that to anybody who is looking for an excuse, and I think we often find easy ways to justify our excuses, there really are none. If you're going to do it, you're going to do it. And if you're not, you're not. But there's no in between. And that's how I am. For me, I'm very decisive in that way. Either I'm going to commit or I'm not. And I'm not going to give myself the excuse to find a reason why I can't. It's either yeah or no. You know what I'm saying? And so that's one of the things that I really love about observing Kanye in this experience of being a part of Sunday service. He's incredibly decisive as well. You know, he doesn't deal in no. Everything is about, okay, if it can't happen, then find me a solution as to what we can do, which is the next best thing closest to what my original idea was. And so I love being surrounded by that because it just has taught me so much about like no excuses. Right. It's either this or it's this. It's either yes or it's no. You know what I'm saying? So that's been a blessing.
I think that's beautiful. And I think a lot of people think it's a super hard decision. And like you said, they come with a lot of excuses. But at the end of the day, it's yes or no.
Yeah.
All right. So you have named a lot of very important people, you know, that you've met and you've worked with on your journey that has now led you to being on Songland.
Yes.
So this is the first season, ever for Songland on NBC.
On NBC.
Okay. So I have heard of it and I've watched bits and pieces, but explain how the show actually works. Cause I know there's songwriters and producers and artists and.
Yes. All right. Let me break it down, Rox.
Okay.
All right. So basically the way Songland works is there are, songwriters who come on the show and pitch their song live to a superstar artist. There's a new artist every week and there's new songwriters every week. And there are three main producers who are a part of the show kind of as mentors. It's Ryan Tedder, Esther Dean, Shane McAnally. So for people who don't know who those people are, Ryan Tedder is a huge songwriter in primarily the pop music space. And he's also the front man for the band One Republic.
Right.
And then Esther Dean is a super accomplished songwriter who wrote some of Rihanna and Katy Perry's biggest hits. And then Shane McAnally is like a legend in the country music space.
Okay.
This man has like 40 number ones, which is insane. Okay. Like, that's huge. That's goals.
Yeah,
right
he was the only one I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, so Shane, the nicest guy ever, by the way. Like super, super kind, but hugely accomplished in the country music space. And so the songwriters who are on the show get a chance to be a part of the mentorship of one of these three producers if your song makes it past the first round. And then they will help you to refine your song to be best suited for the artist that you're paired with for that particular week. And then after you perform your record the first time, if the artist likes your song, they pick their favorite three you get paired with one of the producers, fix the song, you come back and perform it again, and then the artist picks their favorite from the new versions of the song, and then they release it. And that's how the show works.
Through the artist.
It's released through the artist, yes.
So how many weeks has this been going on?
We're the third episode, so it's just been on for 3 weeks.
You've just been going forward. You've been the first week you perform.
So it's every episode there's a new series of songwriters.
Okay.
So you only do your one episode and then that's it.
I got you.
So it's not like you get passed on from week to week and it just stretches out over a season. New artists, new songwriters every week.
So you are on this episode.
I am on this episode 3.
So what song are you doing? Can we know that?
Well, I am doing, what I can tell you is that I am on with one of country music's most accomplished singers. Her name is Kelsey Ballerini.
Okay.
And she is a super, super talented young lady and very, very sweet. Also, she's beautiful too, but as beautiful on the outside as she is on the inside. And so I'm grateful to be a part of it. And I'll tell you why. Because as a black kid from Philly who is on a major network television show pitching a song to one of the biggest stars in country music, where does that happen?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And for me, I'm grateful that I get to serve as a beacon for other minority kids who might be in this city or cities outside of this city, who look and say, oh, wow, well, if he can do it, I can do it. You know what I'm saying? And now we bring more conversation to the idea of diversity in the country music space. Not to suggest that there isn't any already, but to also shine a light on the idea that there is more space for inclusion in this space. It's really just about having a great song, regardless of what your skin color is behind the person who wrote it, you know? And so I'm grateful for that. To be a part of something like that is I was just okay, God, I see what you're doing. I couldn't have picked it any better. You did a great job.
So you had no idea who the artist was going to be?
I did not.
Okay.
Up until I found out just before we filmed who the artist was. But up until that point, I had no clue.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so the episode airs?
It airs on Tuesday, the 11th, which is tomorrow.
Okay.
And it comes on at 10 p.m. on NBC.
And there is a watch party.
There is a watch party. So all of Philly, y'all are invited to pull up. We're having the launch party. We're having the watch party at Golf and Social, starting at 8:30 tomorrow night. It's an open bar. It doesn't get much better than
drinks,
that.
Guys. Free
you know
drinks.
what I'm saying? So come out. You can check my page at Darius Coleman Music on Instagram for the RSVP link, or you can go straight to DariusColeman.com and do the RSVP. It's free. So just come out and share the night with us. It'll be really dope. I'm also going to sing tomorrow. I'm going to do a little performance, so that'll be fun. That'll be a special little moment. And Julian King will be there as well.
I was going to ask you about him.
Yes. Julian King, another Philly native who is taking over the city and also happens to be my blood family. So so that's
runs
happening
in the family.
Too. Yeah, it runs in the family. And so I just want to make sure I invite everybody out. Come check it out, and it's gonna be a fun night.
All right, so I will definitely be there.
Yeah.
All right, so talk to me.
I'm holding you to that too.
No, I really am.
She said it on camera too. So
yes, I did. I'm definitely going to be there. I can't tell you how long I'm gonna stay.
Right.
But I am definitely going to be there.
All right, I'll take it.
All right, so you are very inspirational.
Thank you.
Very motivating. So for somebody that is just starting out, somebody that is looking for guidance, somebody that lives in Philly that can't find any avenues, what advice would you give them?
First and foremost, it starts with the belief in yourself. If you don't have that belief, you're never going to be able to convince anybody else that they should believe in you. And I think that many of the people who succeed, especially in the entertainment industry, have to start with a belief in self. And that doesn't mean that you have to walk around with an ego or with an arrogance, but there is a certain confidence that's required in your belief in yourself. And for me, I find that belief in God. God made me and God gave me the gift. So because of that, who am I to disrespect God by calling my gift small? You know what I'm saying? So my confidence is not really founded in Darius. It's founded in God's ability that he put in Darius. And that is where the confidence comes from for me. Second to that, I would say you got to be clear on what you want. Figure out what your goal is, figure out what your vision is, and then then you can start to systematize the steps to getting there. But it has to start with some kind of clarity on like, what's my end game? So I know for me, my end game is Super Bowl halftime show. I want to be selling out stadiums. I want to be performing at Lincoln Financial Field as the headliner, to do Powerhouse, to do, the Jingle Balls, to do those things. Like, that's my goal. I want to leave an impact that lasts beyond Darius's life. I want my music to speak for me centuries after I'm gone. And so that's my end game. But I got to figure out, how do we get to that end game? And so the fortunacy for me is that, like, songwriting has afforded me the opportunity now to build relationships, to then be able to put out music that services two agendas. One, I get to write for other artists, and then two, I get to write for me. And so those are some of the things that I would say are like takeaways for people who are starting on their journey. You gotta find belief in yourself that you can do it regardless of what your circumstance looks like. And two, that you then, once you found that belief, start to figure out what your goal is so that you can work towards those things to make them a reality.
God, I feel like I want to be president now.
You could do it, Roxy.
All right, so two more things. Number one, actually just one thing.
Okay.
For people that might not be able to make it tomorrow.
Yes.
Can we get a little sample?
Of?
It doesn't need to be the song that you're singing, because I know that's probably not allowed. Yes. But like anything that you've written, just like a little piece.
Well, sure. So I have a new single.
Wait, actually, there is one more thing.
Okay. We're going to pause for the calls. And then
Yeah. Singer-songwriter. And so as you come into your own and you really become this like individual artist, can you see yourself incorporating dance into everything as well?
Yes, I personally feel like that's going to be a part of my stage show.
Okay.
The kind of music that I make, it's weird because there are songs that people haven't heard. So it's like, well, how do you get there from where you are? In my mind, I'm already like ahead because I know songs that are in my catalog that everyone hasn't heard yet. But yes, my stage show, I'm an entertainer. Like it's what I do. So all around, fully.
Okay.
But I have, back to your first question, it's tying it all in. I see myself getting there through the music that's being released. And I have a project that's out right now called What I'm Trying to Say, that I wrote in LA while I was living in an Airbnb. I wrote, recorded, and did the entire thing in LA. And just going back to the No Excuses thing, like that whole project, I have a ton of relationships with producers, a ton. And for whatever reason, during this time period, like, I couldn't get in touch with anybody. Like, I was hitting people up and like, yo, send me beats. And typically I ask one time and I get like entire beat packs from multiple people.
Okay.
But at this point, for whatever reason, I just wasn't getting anything. And I was just like, well, you know what? I'm not going to let that stop me. So my entire first project, I sourced with beats from YouTube. And I reached out to YouTube producers and established relationships with them and did my entire A&R, myself and my brother, Jaleel, A&R, my first project off of YouTube beats. And it really goes back to, again, with the No Excuses thing, you either do it or you don't. So for me, it was like, we need to put a project out. I'm not going to wait for producers to send me beats. And I'm not going to rely on the fact that I'm not getting beats from producers to stop me from putting a project out. We put the whole project out. I was sending it to producer friends of mine. They're like, yo, who did the production? I'm like, I got these beats from YouTube. Nobody would ever know it because there's no excuses. If you put the investment in to make it good, it'll still be good no matter where you get it from. Like I said, I wrote and recorded that entire project in an Airbnb. And so anything is possible. Cut back to now. Oh, go ahead. You got another question?
What's the name of the project?
It's called What I'm Trying to Say.
It's an EP?
It's an EP, and it's available on all streaming platforms. So go check that out. And then I have a new song that is a new single that's coming out on this coming Friday, the 14th.
Okay.
And so I'm super excited about this one because it's got super feel-good vibes. Like it's a great summertime situation. One of those roll the windows down and ride around with your shorty type situations.
Okay.
Like it's just a really good vibe. And I think people are going to love it. And I'm very excited about that. So you asked if I could sing. Now, y'all, I don't know if the voice is all the way warmed, but I will sing a little bit of High of You.
What's it called?
It's called High of You.
High of You.
Yes. Okay. So, yeah, bear with me. And this is live, Lord Jesus. So that means no redos. Okay. So the song says, think I'll call you nicotine. I need my daily dose of your skin on top of me. You make a tingle in my toes. Only you can make me feel sensations all over my body. That's how you know it's real. The real deal. I tried, Jen, I tried, Jack, but they ain't you. That's why I still come back. Got sky high and then I crash. You're all mine, you're not a puff, puff pass. Oh, living for the high over you. I am living for the high over you.
Okay.
That's all y'all get. That's all y'all get. And that's with no warm up. I also have had 3 hours of sleep, y'all. I just flew in this morning from a very long trip with Kanye. So yeah, I'm glad anything came out at this point. But yep. You got it out of me.
You are amazing.
Thank you,
You
Roxy.
are an inspiration. I cannot wait to see you tomorrow on Songland.
Thank
so again,
you.
information about coming to the watch party.
Yes, the watch party is going to be at Golf and Social tomorrow night, Tuesday, June the 11th, at Golf and Social here in Philly. So go to DariusColeman.com or check me out at Darius Coleman Music on Instagram, and you can get the RSVP link. It's free. It's an open bar. Starts at 8:30. It's going to be a vibe. So come out, check it out, kick it with me. I would love to meet you guys. And thank you so much for having me. This has been great.
You're awesome.
Love y'all, Philly.